Good morning, everybody out in YouTube world. I'm Bevo from Beach and Maine. I am a creative coach and brand development guide, and I am on set with Robert Rostick.
And we are here at TRG Studio where we do digital photography training. Come check us out if you need anything that requires training in photography and photography software. So check us out.
That's right. And also on set we have the wonderful Mason Guerin.
I'm Mason Guerin, and I'm an artist and painter and an artist and healthcare professional.
That's right. So let's just jump right into this conversation today. We've been making a lot of changes.
Yeah.
And kind of paring things down, really, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And a lot of things going on. What do you have going on right now, personally? Well, not personally.
I don't have anything personally
but,
going on, but as far as business is concerned, it's a new year.
Right.
People are getting new cameras, and it's time to get new training. Because one of the things that I've discovered, you discovered about cameras, there are 1,000,001 YouTube videos out there for you in order to learn things, but there's not one YouTube video or any video out there that'll tell you about your work specifically and about your growth. So get with TRG Studio, and we can help you with your personal journey and your growth.
That's right.
So that's what I need you to know. And that's the only plug I'm going to give. I promise until I give the next one.
It's a good plug. I've actually been doing a lot of growth in my business as well, planning for a lot of growth. Got a new hat.
Yeah, the artist hat.
The artist hat, or the weird pseudo Frenchman hat.
You know what's funny about that?
What's that?
The first time, I'm from Montgomery, Alabama.
Right.
And as a little hick boy at 14, leaving the state for the first time,
right,
I go to Toronto, Canada.
Okay.
And in Toronto, Canada, my uncle is asking for directions to get to Quebec City.
Okay.
And this black guy is standing there, and he does not necessarily understand what we're saying. He's speaking another language. And the only language that I knew of was Alabama and Georgia.
Right.
Those are the only two languages I knew. And he was speaking this language, and my uncle was trying to talk. My uncle was from Buffalo.
Okay. New York.
New York, yeah. And then my uncle said something in not quite the language this guy was talking, but the guy was able to understand it.
Right.
And I said, a black guy speaking a language other than Alabama. I know, how cool is that?
Right.
Anyway, he was able to give us directions. My uncle was able to interpret those directions. But one of the things that I did when I first got to high school was I took French. Mm-hmm. And now all I have to do is put a hat on you, which you now have.
That's right.
And say, parlez-vous français?
And I do not know the appropriate response to that.
But it doesn't matter.
Say, un poquito.
Un poquito, like completely different language.
I know.
Oh, anyway. Man. No, it's been good though. Been learning a lot. I think that's my new key phrase. Got a chance to go and visit a client for her birthday over the weekend.
Yeah.
To Boston.
Oh, how was that? That's right. You mentioned that last week. You were going to go to Boston. How was that? You've never been to Boston?
I've never been to Boston.
Okay.
And I've never been, this is going to sound weird, but I've never been that far north in this time of the year. It's always been a summer vacation for me, so I've been in that parts of the country with regard to, like, not really that part, but Michigan. I've been north, but it's always been in the summertime. So I've never gone when it's cold outside, and seeing how people operate in this time of the year.
In the cold.
In the cold.
And it wasn't as much snow as you thought it might be.
Was not snow at all. Right. Actually, the cold really, it wasn't even that cold as I thought it was going to be. And I had a really great time. I got to, it's bonkers to drive around in that place, first of all. Right. Ridiculous.
You go through the tunnels?
I went through the tunnels. My client, Fiona, she took me all around the city. And I was just telling Mason on the way up here, Fiona, she's pretty put together woman, right? And watching her drive in Boston is a completely different person.
Right.
She's way more aggressive, way more like, I got somewhere to go. And one thing I realized, we've only met personally once before.
And you've been dealing with a client remotely.
Right, remotely.
And I want to speak to that in just a minute.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we've been going back and forth for over a year now. And we've been going back and forth via FaceTime or Zoom. And we've only met once before in real life or face to face. So I get up there and she's showing me around the place, and I meet her family, I meet all these people, and the one thing that stood out was all our conversations over this last year. She's explaining to me she lives in Brookline, but then she has a studio in Alston, but then she used to have a gallery, and she was a part of a system of other artists in a gallery, like a co-op in a gallery space downtown. So in my mind, I'm like, wow, like she's driving all over the place. She's over here. She's going over here. She's all like, where is Boston? But because Brookline, the city, is surrounded by Boston on 3 sides. Okay. So it's not even a co-op of Boston.
Borough?
It's not even a borough. So it's just it's its own thing. Okay. Right. Gotcha. So, in my mind, I'm like, God damn, she's all over the place, right? She's traveling. Then I get there, and Boston is like across the street.
Right.
And all these places that they're like right here. Right. They look far away because there's no grid system. You can't look at the streets and see, okay, north, south, east, west. Like everything's just like all over the place, right? But when I got there, I'm like, we drove through 3 cities in about 10 minutes.
I
was like, wait, hold on. So where did we start? Oh, we were in Boston. I'm like, where are we now? We're in Brooklyn. I'm like, that was like a 20-minute drive. We crossed through like 3 cities. So it completely crashed my imagination of what this place was, because it's a whole lot smaller of a place and more almost congested of a place than I was imagining. And so my imagination was just like, dude, this is not what she explained in our talks together. But right off the bat, got off the plane, there's a lady in the back seat. Her name's Karen. I met Karen the only other time that I met Fiona for face-to-face, I met Karen. That was down in Sarasota. And Karen's super friendly, super nice artist. She's older, hilarious. So right off the bat, like we're having a good time. And that day, I end up, not that day, but the next day, meeting all of her kids. Then I met her husband. Then I met her husband's parents. So within the span of like not even 24 hours, I met all these people. Right. Just get thrown right into the fire. Right. To go there for her birthday. We set up for her party.
Now, but before I go any further, what is this meeting about? Why are you in Boston?
I'm in Boston for her birthday.
Oh, simply a client's birthday?
Right.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So at this point, we're friends.
All right.
Right. Yeah. And I did a post the other day where and it started out with, I've had some friends to become clients and some clients become friends. Right. But they always get the same amount of respect and care when we work together. Right. So she kind of inspired that a little bit because of the fact that we started out as strangers, but we talk for at least an hour a week. Yeah. For over a year, right? You spend that much time with anybody, whether it's remote or not, you hopefully you'll become attached to that person, right? Or better acquainted with that person. You build a relationship.
The relationship becomes a family.
Right. Yeah. So she gave us the invite. She said, hey, would you come for my birthday? I was like, yes. Unfortunately, it's in February, and that's the worst time of the year to travel to Boston, right?
Why is that?
Because no one wants to be there. It's so cold, usually.
Gotcha.
So my ticket only ended up being round trip like $116. I was like, we got to do that. Yeah. There's no way for me not to go.
Yeah. Especially out of a great airport like Tampa's airport.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the sweetest airports. Did you go out of Tampa?
I went out of Tampa.
Yeah, one of the easiest airports to get in and out of.
Karen actually came from Sarasota. And at the party, we actually won the award for the couple who traveled the furthest to get to the party. Yep. So there was nobody else who traveled as far as we did to get there.
And they treated you like a celebrity.
They did. I'm not even gonna lie. I was telling her the other day, they were so, and they do so much, and their family is they're so family oriented, right? That yesterday was the first day I spent money since last Friday, right? Because I was with them, I was in their house, and they just ate out of the house. They didn't do a lot of, there was so much going on that we were moving, and by the time we got back to like eating time, we were already in the house. So there was no time to like go to the restaurant, whatever. And then spending money the whole time. So it was really a good experience, and it wasn't, it didn't feel uncomfortable or weird at all to be there.
Even though you've only met this woman once or twice, and been on the meetings and FaceTime and having conversations and doing business with her. From Tampa to Boston, and that's wonderful.
Yeah, and I've only seen her husband on FaceTime because him in the background waving.
Right.
I've only seen the kids. I've only seen one of her kids on FaceTime in the background waving, and I heard the other two boys just on speakerphone or whatever as she's driving in the car. So this is my first introduction to her whole family and all of her friends. Right.
Now, just curious, will this change the dynamics of how you do business with that? I know you mentioned earlier that friends become clients, clients become friends, and you treat them all the same. But having engaged with this woman's, not only her as a business person, but her now as a family, and being invited into the home as a family, and being introduced to their entire family, will this change the dynamics of how you do business?
I say yes.
And how so?
First of all, it changed the dynamics of how I do business in general, right? Because first of all, it gave me a really good insight into her as a business person and why she wants to do the type of business that she wants to do, even why she does the type of art that she wants to do.
She's an artist.
She's an artist.
Okay.
And she's a fantastic artist, and she writes really well too. And so you get to see how all these things come together.
I mean, that's a very, very narrow combination when people that can do both.
Right. And but it's all based in her family, right? Where it changes from a business perspective for me is I was standing in the bathroom yesterday getting ready to come home, and
as opposed to sitting in the bathroom.
I was standing because I had just brushed my teeth. And I was looking at myself in the mirror, and I was like, man, you are here, right? And not in the sense of like just in their house, but I'm like, I'm here based on the fact that I started an idea. I had to walk whatever terrain to get it started, meet people along the way to help me get there, and then ended up in a place where I'm seeing my business actualized, right? And it kind of just gave me the chills a little bit. I was like, that's what I've been working for and working towards. But then it made me realize, I was like, this is one of those friendships where the benefit of that friendship means that I can always keep reevaluating myself. So I found myself in this position of, I want to grow my business, but this is one of those friendships that I want it to grow well enough to where almost the business kind of, where she's now able to grow and walk in her path, right? But I guess what I'm trying to say is like, you know how sometimes business and money feels weird, or friendships and money feel weird, right? I'm not there yet because I still need some of this business. But in my mind, part of it was like, I wouldn't mind if the business went away because of the friendship, right? If the friendship ongoing was replacing what the business is.
You know, when
does that make sense?
Yeah, when we work for a company, it's easy to demand money. I want my paycheck. I put in my hours. I did my deal. I produced great work. I want my money.
You're right.
Give me my money.
Right.
But when you are the business and you formulate a relationship, it's no longer about the money.
Yeah.
It becomes about the relationship.
Right.
Now, everybody in this relationship has a need and a want.
Yeah.
And she wants your services. You want to be able to provide those services the best. She wants to reward you for that, and you want to be rewarded for that. And I'll tell you this. My sister asked me to do something. My sister, who is blood to me, grew up with me, fought with me, beat my ass. Yes, okay, I said it out loud. Yes. A couple of times. Will ask me to do something and will not expect me to do it for free.
Right.
Because now she asked me to wash the dishes and do the things that we did as children. That's one thing.
Right.
But as a profession, that's completely different.
Yeah. And
so it doesn't change our relationship as brother and sister, because I'm going to do the best for her that I would do for anyone else. The greater part of that is she recognizes that I need to be compensated for that.
Right.
And the same happens if I asked of her.
Right. And you know, I think where my thinking was in that there's certain, we've certainly gotten to a part in the relationship where if there's anything extra or small thing that she needs done, I'm not tacking things onto the bill. You know what I mean? Like when it gets out of my reach, when I have to involve somebody else, if I had to bring in a photographer, that's another thing. But if she's like, hey, could we have an extra conversation?
Let's address that for just a second, because that's where one has to be a little bit finesse that a little bit to be on top of your game. You're not going to stay in business by giving away business.
No.
All right, and let me address that.
Yeah.
There are things that are going to happen where you feel as though, hey, look, it's no big skin off my back. I can do this. So I'm not going to nickel and dime you. But at the same time, there is an expectation when Bryan Voliton in his business says, look, Fiona, I am going to be about 3 days late on this. And you can't sweat me on that.
Yeah.
So there is a give and take.
Sure. Yeah.
On the back end. And one of the reasons why you do this is because there is something that you are going to get on the other side of that.
Right.
So it may not be stated outright, up front, or in your face, but there is a certain expectation on the backside of it. Yeah.
And and all those things are, and especially from a relationship standpoint now, all those things are, they're stated up front too. So if obviously I was in Boston yesterday, we had a meeting yesterday as well.
You better have a meeting, otherwise Uncle Sam is going to ask you why were you in Boston.
So we had a meeting as well. However, usually I flip the notes back around to her almost within 10 minutes, right? I flip our meeting notes. I said, obviously I'm in Boston, so I'll get the notes to you tomorrow, right? So there's not that sense of urgency, or she's not thinking that I'm not taking care of her because she hadn't got the notes flipped back to her. You know what I mean? So there are certain allowances. And then, ultimately from a business standpoint, when we talk about circle of influence, right? That's a way bigger circle of influence as far as people that she's in contact with.
Yeah, I would say that.
Right?
It's like the amount of time you've put into the relationship with her, she's going to feel a lot more confident to recommend you to someone that's like, and it's going to be such a strong recommendation. It's like, it's worth it.
People don't realize the gold that sits behind the client.
Right.
There's gold back there. And I'm not saying that you're digging. That's not what it is. No. Is that when you treat people well, then they open up their gold chest to you, and that chest are the people that they're involved with, and that becomes the goal.
Because I know none of this leading up to
Correct.
Friday, right? You know, I only know her husband waving in the background, her son waving in the background, and she got a couple dogs. That, you know, that's all I know. So my job is to build that relationship so that for us to, so that we understand how we're going to work together consistently, and for me to always be providing a good service for her, and then like giving her the direction that she's asking me for. Right. So overall, this weekend was really great because like I got to see all those things. I got to see what drives her too. And
she got to see what drives you as well.
Yeah.
It's a 2-way street.
Yeah.
And well, in Boston, it's a 4-way street.
Oh my God.
She literally got to drive you around.
She did. She got to drive me around. And you know, I was, I actually, we were sat at a stoplight because I didn't want to talk while she was driving. I said, so what's the pedestrian death rate in Boston? And she looked at me, she said, I don't know about pedestrians, but we have a high cyclist death rate. And I was like, holy, I can imagine. One thing though that was surprising to see is, especially when you're in a walkable city or where the city is set up for you to walk around, there ain't no fat people. And
are you telling me to go to Boston? Is that what you're saying to me?
I might have to go myself every now and again. But there's everybody was running.
Well, we talk about the Europeans that way. We said, the Europeans are so slender, so svelte and all of that, and it's because they walk everywhere.
But their cities are built to accommodate that, encourage it, and
well, you're not going to have to walk 15 miles to get to work. You know what I mean? Like, you either jump on a train if you got to go far, but up the street, you just walk to the store. You know what I mean? So
public transportation is developed well. Yes.
And here in this country, we sit in our cars, and our cars are everything. And we sit on the couch, and we sit everywhere.
Well, we could benefit more from making bigger cities more siloed to where you have sections to where you don't have to drive across the city to get to a specific place.
I really do like Tampa for that. Tampa, you can walk, bike, or ride, depending on where you are. St. Pete, same way. I really love Dunedin because you got the water there, and everybody wants to walk to the water.
We have a beautiful town in Dunedin.
Yeah, great town. But back to the client relationship portion of this, which is what I'm fascinated by, because I here in the studio we do the same thing as far as when we're training. We build relationships, and those relationships end up being that where I will meet the family, or the family will come here, and then it becomes like this person is a whole person, a completely whole person, and not just that one-dimensional. I am. They are my client. I am the person that's providing the service. But they're multidimensional, and I love meeting and seeing that. So I think you and I both carry the same water when it comes to our business, which is it's about building on long term, as opposed to hey, here is a product I have, you buy it, you're out the door, and I'll never see you again, or I may see you again.
Yeah. That kind of building it seems really frivolous for me, and I feel like I always have to be on top of something to make that type of business happen. When you have a product, you're always pushing the product, always pushing the product. You're always doing a hard sell when you're pushing a product, because the soft sell is to get the store or the retail shop to buy your product, but then now you got to get people in the store to buy the product, so now you got to do the hard sell, and I don't have the stamina, I think, to do the hard sell on a day in, day out basis. One thing I did enjoy was being able to accommodate for things that the client likes to do, she likes to walk in the morning. So I was like, let's go for a walk. And we ended up walking around. She's still showing me, and we're talking at the same time. So I'm getting to still hear. And the one thing about walking that I like a lot is that the ideas keep flowing and you're not exhausted, so that you're not thinking about that I'm tired, and you're able to kind of just throw ideas around and they kind of bounce back and forth. They don't really have to go anywhere, but they're just kind of there. And it's a different way of being present, you know, in that state, especially if you're doing it with somebody else, because it's just, you have a destination, right? And then you're walking away from what other problems that you started with in the first place, right?
Let me ask you this, in that walking, and I'm simply proposing an idea if it's not there, or waiting on you to shoot it down if it is there. You ever pull out your cell phone and record what's being said
while we're walking? No. Only because walking for me is how I generate ideas.
Right. When you with it.
Even by myself. If we're concepting in the house, I walk around our living room and just burn a hole in the wood floor, right? So I walk around the living room. That's how I or generate ideas. And for some reason, the ideas, they stick better while I'm walking too. Almost not as well as writing, but they stick almost as good as if I just write down an idea, versus if I'm running or if I'm on a bike, I'm kind of, it's heavy exercise. So you're thinking about pedal, 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 pedal. And it's hard to think about an idea at that point.
But I guess where I'm going with this is that you're with a client, something comes up, and this is a good idea, or it's something that could go somewhere. And then when you leave that situation, we tend to forget. Yeah.
You know, I see where you're going. It might be a thing to just bring a book or a small notebook to be able to write in. But I think in that instance, knowing that there's a recording device, you're aware that the device is there. Like, I'm aware that the camera's over there. I'm aware that this computer's flashing out of the corner of my eye. So do I get all the way into that moment with them, or do I worry about if someone's calling my phone, if I turned it on Do Not Disturb, is it even recording in the first place?
Well,
you know what
I mean? Let's.
But I'm open to it. Yeah, keep at it.
Go for it. Just a second, because it goes back to that meeting thing that we're saying, is that when we were kids and we saw the car, we like, I can't wait to drive. And then when we first got behind the wheel, it required all of our concentration.
Right.
And then 2 years into it, we drive, we have the music going, we're eating cheeseburgers, we're talking on the phone, and yet we're still getting to our destination. We're not even thinking about driving.
Right.
So when it comes to recording, having some sort of record of what was said and or talked about, the more you do it, the less it becomes intrusive into your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I guess that's what I'm introducing as an idea or thought. No. And let me just tie this back up to what we were saying about the meeting portion of it. Do you know Zoom stocks just flew up?
I would imagine.
Now Zoom, the meeting program that we talked.
Shout out Zoom. Hopefully one day we get some affiliation points. Right. We get some We got to grow this channel so we get some affiliation points from Zoom.
And because China has this coronavirus.
Right.
So people still have to do business.
Right.
And how do they do business?
On Zoom.
Yeah.
So we don't have to do face-to-face anymore.
Right.
And not to say we don't, I stated that wrong. It's not that we don't have to do it anymore, but whenever there's...
We don't have to be on location.
We don't have to be there all the time. And we still can do great business.
Right.
Through these meetings, meet-up type of environment. And I'm mentioning that is because we are going into the electronic age. People are dating now based on people they meet off the internet. Right. I think it's a great thing that you meet someone however way you meet them.
Right.
I think if we're able to communicate our business, both our business and including our paintings, to people around the world, open it up to people around the world, then we not only can build local relationships, we can build international relationships.
Yep.
And then go to somewhere in France where your hat is like, people go like, you must be silly American wearing those hats like that. But we can go there.
Because that's that French accent.
Eat their food, enjoy their family, and come back and then say, oh, my hat was a big success, a big hit.
So you know why I'm wearing this hat?
I came up with the idea.
She did.
Let me finish the rest of the story. He doesn't even like the 60s.
Okay.
I don't.
And he's like, well, as a black man, not a lot of great, It was a hard time in the 60s.
Some good times too. But
but like he's never watched Mad Men. And I'm like, well, you were in the advertising business. And he's like, yeah, but what am I going to relate to? And I was like, good point. Just a bunch of white guys in suits. Okay. Mm-hmm. So hearing that, it's 60s, I'm cracking up. And I was like, you don't even like the 60s. Oh my God, what are you going to wear? Oh my God. And so I'm like, you know what you should do? You should show up as a Black Panther. Because
in Boston, no.
In Boston.
All those white people are definitely not going to expect that.
In Boston.
In Boston.
So that's when he gets on the phone and calls his mom. And he's like, don't you have a beret? And she makes one at first. Yeah,
she made me a beret. And it was like, I was like, man, Mom, this is cool, but it looks like a chef hat.
It's huge, but he does have like a really big head.
And I look like a
it's the hat you wear when you get your doctorate
when you get your doctorate degree, or you know those big student hats. Right. It looks like that. I'm like, and then I don't even like school, so like now I'm like 0 for 2. So she goes home and she finds this beret, and she brings it back to me. She's like, I want my shit back. And I'm like, whatever, Ma, I'll get it back to you when I get home. So I get to this party and I'm like, honestly, I am debating. I'm like, dang, do I show up to this white people party with this fucking Black Panther outfit?
And we have sunglasses.
And I got sunglasses.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, well, here's the deal. It's either gonna go one or two ways. If people are like, what are you? I'm like, well, I'm either a Black Panther or a thespian. Whatever,
right.
Whatever you see fit. Right. And then one of the guys to my left, he's like, well, we like lesbians. I'm like, I said a thespian. I was like, I like lesbians too, but I said a thespian. So I show up at this party and I'm standing there. I got my hat on and I'm like, all right, cool. Plus, it's keeping my head warm.
And he's dressed all in black.
And I'm dressed all in black, right?
Yeah.
So this older guy walks up to me. He's like, you gonna play music or something tonight? And I'm like, no, what make you say that? He's like, you just got the look. He's like, I think it's that hat. I'm like, nah, man, I'm just here for the party, right? Mm-hmm. So I got a lot of that night.
Oh yeah.
What are you gonna actually do something, or are you performing tonight? I'm like, no, I'm just actually here for the party. So they completely did not see Black Panther. They went straight to thespian, right? AKA lesbian. So
spoken word poet.
A spoken word poet. Snap, snap, snap. But yeah, so it was a good time overall, and I learned a lot creatively. I learned a lot about, even more so about relationships, learning, even more so about being present and paying attention in the spaces that we're in with people. Yeah. And then learn a lot about what I'm actually doing in my business, right? And a lot of that was preparation, just documenting things literally on paper and getting it out of my head and making it simple enough for someone else to be able to talk about it, right? And explain to other people what it is that you do in a way that they understand and hopefully can either use that service themselves or pass it on to somebody else, right? So that's what I'm most proud of within this last month or so. And that's what we've been working on. Good. And this trip kind of is like, certain points you get to where it's like, you're on your way, kid. This is that kind of situation. So.
Which brings us down to a close.
That's right.
And I think we've wrapped up all the things that we wanted to get out. Your trip.
Yeah.
The importance of meeting clients, not only their need, but being in relationship with them as well. Mm-hmm. Letting people know that we are able to provide services around the world.
Right.
And that shouldn't be a fear.
Right.
And that most of all is that we are here to help you see how business works in the art form.
Absolutely.
And I think that's got us all this week.
That is everything. And I'm so proud of that. And with that being said, Thank you, Mason Garing, for all your help from week to week, even when you don't feel like it. Robert Rostic, thanks for showing up.
And always.
Tell us again who you are.
I am Robert Rostic at TRG Studio, digital photography training.
And you can find Robert Rostic at
TRG Studio or trgphoto.net, either one.
.net is singular, not plural.
Yeah, photo.
Studio.
Studio, singular.
And photo.
And photo, singular.
All right, and you can find me at beachandmaine.com. That's beachandmaine.com. And I just thank everybody for who is following us, who do support us, because we do have a couple of y'all. Thank y'all. Keep liking, keep commenting, and keep subscribing to this channel and sharing as well. So the shares are important, so keep doing that. We appreciate you. Until next time, peace.